to this computer. Okay, cool. All right, so walk me through where we're at, and then I'll see how I can help you. I know that you had a deal you were working on, and it looks like you needed it to get comped.
Yeah, so I'm working on this deal, JVing with another
Cool.
Elephant Challenge student, and uh I'm just trying to pull up the
Is it an
info.
on-market deal or an off-market deal?
It's an on-market deal.
Okay. Did you guys already get it under contract?
No, we haven't gotten it under contract yet. We're reaching out to the listing agent today.
Okay.
So how I found it was how I was able to get this deal in the first place, the
Uh-huh.
creative finance Facebook group. Another member of the group just posted, "Don't be afraid to reach out to agents. Send this text message." And he just showed screenshots of what he
Cool.
sent. I was
Yeah,
like, oh, well, I'm going to take a shot at that. And I just copied and pasted what he sent, and I didn't expect any agents to bite, and they totally did.
that's
And I
cool.
was just like, whoa. And then I posted in the Discord, okay, I have an agent who says their seller's interested in creative finance, but I don't, but now they're asking me, well, what are your terms? And I'm like, I don't know. And I don't know, how would I even respond to that in a text message? I don't know.
Cool.
So that's how I found my JV partner.
Okay.
Um, and he was like, let's work on this together. And
Okay.
he put together an underwrite that he did, but I more am a process person where
Okay.
I need like a spreadsheet. Like, let me
Okay.
plug in some numbers or something. I
Cool.
don't know if that's how you work, but that's kind of what I need.
I'm a little bit of both, so that's cool.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah, so
Okay, so
comping,
let's do this. Let's look at the deal.
okay.
Let's. You have the address handy?
Yeah, I do.
All right. Hold on. Share my screen. Okay. What's the address?
3105
Uh-huh.
Machado, Machado
And what city?
Street, I think
Uh-huh.
it is. Tampa.
Cool. That's a hot market. Okay. All right. So here it is.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I have an alert on my Redfin for properties that go off the market and when they come back on the market. So this is back on the market. So it had been contingent, I guess, or pending or something, and now it's back on the market.
Okay. So it looks to me like this was a partial flip where they
Mhm.
tried to do some of the rehab. It looks like they tried to put some new flooring, but I'm seeing a lot of like scuffs around. So it was almost like a halfway job, or they just kept this as a rental. So a couple things. Anytime I look at a property, the first thing that I want to do is I want to come down and I want to see the price and tax history. Okay, very,
Mhm.
very important because that helps me understand where they're coming from. So had they purchased this, for instance, in the last 4 to 6 months, this would probably not be a deal, okay? Because if they purchased it in the last 4 to 6 months, they got it at the price that I probably should have gotten it at. That's not the case here, but I just try to teach best practices from the jump. So whenever you come and you're looking at an opportunity, immediately go into price and tax history and just check when was the last time it was purchased, okay? And I do that because I can't tell you the number of times, myself included, we've made the mistake where we go in and we get ourselves in a deal, and then later on we find out we're actually, being charged a premium, or not a premium, but a markup because a wholesaler had got to it before us. Okay. Then, and that doesn't mean that there is an opportunity there. That just means that like you should have gotten it at the prior price, not the one that they're trying to sell it to you at. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, so this one, it looks like they purchased it in 20 for 73,000. They listed it for 200 in on the 3rd. Then it did go pending, just like you said, and then it fell out of escrow and now it's back on the market. So it's only been on the market a short period of time, right?
No. Oh, well, actually, I don't know because,
I
yeah,
show 19
this,
days.
yeah, this search is not for properties that have been listed for longer than 90 days or 60 days or anything like that. This
Hmm.
this search is just
Okay.
ugly houses.
Cool. No problem. Okay. So now here's the thing. This house was not completely redone, so it's still
Mhm.
going to need repairs and to, okay, well, let me slow down for a second. What is the exit strategy going to be for you guys? Are we trying to make an all cash offer on this, or are we strictly going to just try to make this a creative deal and then put our fee on top of that creative deal and then sell it? Or are we trying to get this as a creative deal to keep for ourselves?
Um, my partner and I were gonna wholesale it to a buyer who
Cool.
wants to buy it creatively.
Okay. All right. Good. And I've done quite a few of these. I just did one that I liked a lot. So
Okay.
the way I'm going to structure this is going to be a little bit differently. Okay. They're asking for 200. We need to find out immediately what the ARV is, and we need to figure out what the repairs are going to be. Just looking at this, there's three ways that I gauge repairs. Okay. A lipstick fixer is a property that only needs paint and carpet. And if it only needs paint and carpet, then it's $25 a square foot. Okay. This one
Okay.
is probably not a lipstick fixer. I think this needs a little bit more just based on what I'm looking at in the kitchen and the trim. That's not, that's Formica. That's not real granite, I don't think. Uh,
Nope.
so really it needs to be remodeled. If you're gonna finish this and finish it right, then it needs to be done correctly. So it's not $25, but $25 is only when it's flooring and paint. All right.
Mhm.
Uh, if it's flooring, paint, and a rehab, a remodel, then it's $45 a square foot, all the way up to $55 a square foot. That's what I multiply. Okay. So in this case, that's what I think this is. I think this is more like a lipstick. I mean, not a lipstick, but a rehab. So I'm
Mhm.
looking at $50 a square foot times 708. So you're looking at about $40,000 in repairs. I always overestimate repairs. Okay, when I underwrite my deals, I overestimate repairs and I underestimate values. Okay. Most wholesalers and most people in the creative community, they tend to do the opposite. They underestimate repairs and then they overestimate values. I don't want you to do that. I want the repairs higher and I want the values lower. It's going to make it more sellable for you in the long run. Okay. So in this case, we're looking probably at about $40,000 in repairs. I think personally, maybe 50. All right. Now, let me show you the calculator that we use, and I will give you access to this too.
Okay.
So the ARV on the repairs, I think we're looking at about 50, 40 or 50. We'll say 45. Okay. In rehab. And you can modify these. Now, in terms of what this is worth, I'm going to check the map real quick. Okay. In College Hills. And then we want only the solds. Deselect all. I only want houses. I only want sales within the last 14 days. Okay, the last 14 days are going to be the most accurate. All right.
Okay.
So if you take a look at it, right here, we've got one that just sold. Look at that. 2 bed, 1 bath, 770, and it sold for 97,000.
Uh-huh.
This
But
is a
it's not a fix and flip though.
no, this is a major fixer, I think, just based on what I'm looking at. So this gives me an idea of what this should go for as a wholesale deal if it was all cash. This just sold 97,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it just gives me an idea, just so that I have something as reference. Now, let's look for one that's been all fixed up. It looks like this may have been a rehab. It looks pretty nice. Oh, and it's built in 2020, so we can't use that one either. That's too new. So let's modify this and we'll say year built. What year was our built? Probably in the 650s.
Uh,
It says new roof and new plumbing, new porch, new front door. Facts and features. This was built in 1925. Wow. Okay.
okay.
So then we got to say 1960. Apply. All right. So that changes things. Now we've got one for 160. 3 bed, 2 bath, 1,300, which is double the size of ours, and it sold for 160.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've got one that sold for 217, 3 bed, 2 bath, 1,300. Again, very, very big. This looks like it was fixed up. Yeah, that's not going to work for us.
Right.
3,100. Okay, so when this happens now, remember I only did 14 days. Now I'll open it up a little bit more. I'll go to 30 days. Okay, now we've got some more stuff. We've got one for 75, 2 bed, 1 bath. This is also a fixer. So look at what the fixers are going for. We saw
Mm-hmm.
one at 90. Now we see another one for 75. Right? So it's little by little, it's starting to tell us a story now.
Yeah.
Here's 270. And this one sold for, yeah, 270, 1,300. Again, twice as big. Let's check the history though, the sales history. So it sold in 21 and then they remodeled it a year later and they sold it for 269, 254. Okay. I'm still seeing houses that are way too big. When that happens, I come here and then I adjust the square footage and I don't want it more than 1,000. All right. So now we're at 290. And this looks like it was either a
New
new construction.
construction.
Yeah. But that's weird because the year built, I set it to 1960, but it is new, so we can't use that one. 25K. Wow. You gave me a doozy, huh? That's good. All right. So this sold for 237. Something tells me that this is a flip, but I won't know until I scroll down. Completely remodeled. Built in 28. See complete history. Nope. Before it was sold in 2009 and then 2012 it was listed for sale. Oh, here we go. No, still removed.
If you scroll up a little bit, it shows that it was sold on the 17th. Yeah.
Yeah, for 237. But that's the end buyer. I want to know who bought it and fixed it up. See, I show here that they were
Ah.
trying to sell it before earlier this year for 160, but it doesn't look like it's sold. So whomever owned it decided to finish the project themselves. Anyway, this one's remodeled. See, these are old photos. I mean, old Google Maps, and then this is a newer one after the remodel. All right, cool. So we have an idea now, 240. So fixed up, this would probably go for about 240 if it was completely fixed up. Because it's a little smaller at 708, maybe I'd say 210 or 215 tops. So they're not priced outrageous, but they're priced, this is not a flip price, okay? So normally what I do is ARV is here is we'll say 215. I'll be a little generous. And rehab is 45. So now the question is, okay, what fee do I want to make? Now, in our organization, we have a minimum standard. Our fee is never less than $15,000. That's our wholesale fee, okay?
Okay.
So right here, I give this to you. You're going to have a copy of this. You can put whatever fee you want. You want 25, you can put 25, whatever. Now, what price are we trying to get it at? Their asking price is 200,000.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say 200,000. What happens is your fee plus your asking price turns into what the investor pays, which is 215,
Mm-hmm.
plus the rehab. By the time you're done, they are actually losing. The investor loses about $100,000 minus 90. Okay. The way I have this spreadsheet set up is that this is what if the buyer uses hard money, and most buyers are going to use hard money because it's easier to use other people's money. You get the tax benefits, you get the write-offs, and it's not your money. So here, if they had to come up with 15% down, which is what most hard lenders require, 15% is the 15% of the purchase price plus the rehab. So it's 15% of the 260, which comes out to about 38,000. Their hard money loan would be for about 221. You with me so far?
Yep.
Okay. So if they try to resell it for 215, paying off their loan, their commissions, depreciation, closing costs, private money, interest, all that, they're losing about 90,000.
Mm-hmm.
So as a hard money loan, this property cannot be, if they're going to buy all cash, you can't buy it at 200, you'll lose 100,000. You would have to get it at around 75,000, right? Which, by the way, remember we were looking at it and we saw that there were properties that sold for 75,000. I don't know where it went. There's one that sold for 47,000, but that's really small. One bed, one bath, 552. My point is that my numbers are actually in sync with what we saw. So if an investor got it for 75, and or excuse me, you sold it to an investor for 90, they would invest 36,000 as their down payment, finish the project, do the repairs, and they would net 22. Most investors want to make 30 cents on the dollar. So for every dollar they spend, they want to make at least 30 cents back. So this is kind of within that range, right?
Mhm.
Not too bad. Actually, it's actually more. Okay, because it's more than the 50 cents per dollar. So this, at this price, this is a price an investor would pay for it. They'd buy it for 90,000. They'd invest 36, and then they'd make about $22,000 back. That's
And
if this was an all cash deal.
yeah.
Okay. Now, the only reason I had to take you through that whole journey was because now we're going to switch to creative. So
Okay.
now that we know, like, look, getting this property at 75,000 is going to be a challenge, because if we call this agent and we say, hey, we want this property for $75,000, the agent is going to probably tell us, go pound rocks. You're crazy. You're not going to get it for $75,000. And why? Because this property is still somewhat livable, and a person could buy it and still live in it. I mean, maybe it's not rehabbed or up to remodel standards, but it's still pretty good. It's livable condition. So now we're going to try to get creative. Okay. So now if you come to this part of the spreadsheet in the corner, and again, like I said, I'm going to give this to you. You can kind of play with the numbers to figure out how you can get creative with this deal. Okay.
Okay.
We already know that the ARV is worth 215.
Mhm.
Okay. We know that. Now, the question is, what will the seller let this go for? Will they sell it to us for 120? Will they sell it to us for 150? So if we come here, you modify this one. Let's say it's worth 150. Let's say they say, well, I'll sell it to you for 150. Okay. That means there's a lien against the property for 150. And then what down payment are we going to put? Now, personally, when I'm doing creative, I will never put anything more than 5% down creative, ever, 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 ever. Why? Because an investor and myself can go to any other bank and get a 5%, 10%, 15, 20% loan. So there's no reason for us to go and give a seller anything more than 5% down payment. The whole reason that we're doing a creative finance is because we're trying to get creative so that both parties win. If I get anything more than 5%, I'll just go down the street to Chase. They'll give me their terms too. So 5% of this at 150,000 would be like, let's say I'm generous and I say, okay, I'll give you $7,500 down. Okay. So
When you say
7,500.
real quick,
Go
when
ahead.
you say 5%, is that 5% down payment?
Yeah, that's a down
Okay.
payment.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, I'm still under the weather. Hold
Where it must be going around because I'm just recovering too from a cold that I had
on.
all
Oh, it's so
weekend.
bad. I shouldn't even be in the office really, but whatever. Yeah, I'm glad that you're recovering. So $7,500 is our down payment. Okay. Now, what are we going to give them in terms of monthly payments? Now, it depends. Okay. So is the end buyer going to flip this, or is the end buyer going to try to rent this out, which they can? But now the question is, what's to stop the seller from renting this property out themselves? Why won't they just rent it out themselves? I think they even tried, didn't they? Was there a period on here where they were trying to rent it? No, it's just sales. Only sales. Okay. So so in terms of monthly payments, here's what I've been doing. I've been doing two things. So I've been structuring creative deals for flippers that will purchase the property, and in 1 year they need to balloon the seller out. And what I've been doing with clients lately is I've been telling sellers, look, I need 6 months free. So 6 months, no payments. If you own it free and clear, 6 months, no payments, and then months 7 through 12, we'll pay you $1,200 a month. So $1,200 a month for 6 months, 7,200. Okay. So now the question is, as a seller, all right, as a seller, why would I give you 6 months free, right? And then let you pay months 7 through 12. Why would I do something like that to you?
I don't know.
Because ultimately I can get you a higher price. And because during those 6 months, you're giving me the opportunity to improve the property, to fix it up so that I can go back and sell it and balloon you out within a year, right? I also use this tactic, depending on the state. I say, look, we're hitting the holidays, and during the holidays, things tend to slow down. So this gives me at least 2 or 3 months of padding so that I could try to get my crew in there, fix the property up so that we could sell it within a year and get you your money. All right. So that's what I've been negotiating lately for my own investors, or for deals that I'm trying to flip. But right now I'm not really doing too much flipping, mainly just wholesaling and creative. So here's what the seller will get. The seller will get a lien of 150,000, a down payment of 7,500, and monthly payments months 7 through 12 of 7,200. So they will actually get 164,700 in 1 year. All right, collectively with all the payments. Now, let's go back to what it would look like if it was an all cash deal. If it was an all cash deal and I purchased this all cash to buy it, fix it, and flip it, I could only get you $75,000. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller or Mr. and Mrs. Agent, which is better for the seller? Me giving them $75,000 cash right now, right? Or them working with me and me giving them 164,700 a year from now if we work together creatively. Does that make sense? Now, what does it look like to the buyer? Now we got to worry about the end buyer, because really a creative deal is only as good as the buyer that you can get to purchase this package from you. So ARV is 215. Seller lien is 150,000, right? Let's say they agreed to sell it or finance 150,000 for us. Our down payment is 7,500. Now, what about your assignment fee? Remember, you got to put your fee on top, so you got to include your assignment fee. I want to make 15,000. Then there's closing costs. Then there's the repairs. Don't forget about the repairs. Then there's still commissions. If they're going to flip this, they got to pay commissions. And then there's the monthly payments, which should match this, by the way. I don't know why it doesn't. It should be L21. All right. So, and then there's the mortgage. There is no mortgage on this one. So what does the buyer end up profiting? Minus 22,000. So in this case, even getting it at 150 would not work. See how that works? So what did I say earlier? Buyers want to make 30, investors want to make 30 cents on the dollar. So now we're going to have to go back to the drawing board. Sorry, I know I'm not trying to get you dizzy. So now the seller lien is 150. Let's lower it to 120, and even that might not be enough. Say 100. Okay. So at 100, the seller ends up getting 114,700, and the buyer ends up netting $27,400 net after paying everybody off. They pay the seller, their down payment, you get an assignment fee, closing costs, repairs, commissions, monthly payments, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the question then is, okay, great. I'm glad you showed me this, Paul, but why would a buyer be interested in structuring a deal this way? Right? Okay, here's why. As Mr. or Mrs. Buyer does not have to pay 200,000, number one. Mr. or Mrs. Buyer does not have to pay the 100 plus 45, the $150,000 up front. All Mr. or Mrs. Buyer has to pay up front to get into the deal is the down payment, the assignment fee, and the repairs and the closing costs. So all they have to pay is this much. Actually, I may need to make another like square over here that says, what do they need to get in the deal?
Yeah, the
So
entry.
Yeah, you got me. Okay. But that's my point. So the entry is just the down payment, assignment fee, closing costs, and repairs, which is a lot better than having to try to purchase this property $150,000. Yeah. And guess what? They may have that money. They may not even need the hard money lender. And if they do go to a hard money lender, they got to pay points on the loan. They got to pay interest on the loan. They got to pay mortgage payments on the loan. And now they spend an extra $10,000 to $15,000 just getting the loan to be able to do this flip. In this case, you don't have to pay any of that, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. Just cover the down payment, cover my assignment fees, cover the repairs, cover the closing costs, and the property's yours. Seller gets their profit of 114. You get your profit of $27,400. Everybody sails off into the sunset. Oh, and by the way, as an extra cherry on top, I got you 6 months of no payments up front. So you don't even have to pay the seller anything for 6 months. That means that if you can haul ass and fix this project within the next 3 to 4 months right away, get it back on the market, you could potentially have this property sold and not even have to make mortgage payments. It's a good deal, but you'd have to lock it up. Your job is, can you lock this up at $100,000? Well, not, yeah, it's not really 100,000 though. It's 100,000, but you know, again, with the down payment and the monthly payment, it's really 114,000 that the seller gets. Does that make sense?
It does.
That's how you underwrite a creative deal. Now, let's just say, okay, this is a balloon for a year, right? The seller's going to get their money within a year. Let's say the seller isn't too hungry to get their money right now. Okay, why would they not want to get their money right now? Capital gains. This is an income property. You know, they might have to pay Uncle Sam 30%. So let's say they agree to seller finance this for you. Let's assume. I don't know because I don't know if they own it free and clear. It looks like
they do. So
okay.
That I do know from the agent. I asked if there was a mortgage on the property, and there is not.
Okay, cool. So how would I structure a deal like this? Well, number one, what could this rent for?
What did we come up with? Hold on. I think we came up with, we put it into rentometer, I think, for the area, and I think the rental was something like $1,100 or something like that. But
$1,100 sounds a little low.
okay, that
Maybe
might
12.
That might be a different property. No, I just had to close all my windows because my computer is running slow.
That's cool. It Zoom drains a lot of the RAM, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it can go. Maybe it can go for 13. Look, there's 1,750. Well, there's 2,000, 1,800 for that 3-bed, 1-bath. Look at that. This would be our best comp if it rents for that amount.
Okay.
Right? If it would rent. So let's say it doesn't. Let's say how long have they been trying to rent it? 13 days.
13 days.
So let's say you drop it down to 1,500 or 1,400, right? Let's say 1,400. Okay, so 1,400. You have to deduct insurance minus 150. I need to add another tab here for this because I do this too much on Notepad. All right, insurance. Let's say you hire a property management company. It's another 150.
Yep.
Okay. Then you need a emergency fund. 911 fund. 911 fund, let's say it's $200 a month in case something goes wrong.
Okay.
So insurance, property management, 911, you're looking at $500 already. Okay. And then let's say you want to make a profit. You still got to make a profit. Let's say an investor wants to keep at least, $300 to $400 a month minimum. Let's say you want to make 400. Okay. So now what do we got left?
So start with 1,400 minus insurance, minus property manager,
minus your profit. And that is what you're left with. Oh, we didn't even talk about taxes yet. Taxes 0.0125. So 200K, 2,500 divided by 12, 208.
208.
Where am I now?
$292.
292. So 292 left. That's all you can pay the the owner. So Mr. or Mrs. Landlord, I mean Mr. or Mrs. Seller, we're
Mhm.
upgrading you from landlord to lender. I can pay you $300 a month. But the good news is you don't have to pay taxes. You don't have to pay insurance. You don't have to pay maintenance. You don't have to pay anything. That $300 is net to you every single month, come rain or shine. All right. I'll handle everything. I think I can rent this for $1,400. If we can get a higher, you can even stipulate, if we get a higher rent of, 1,500 or more, I will increase this by that exact amount because I already have my profit, locked in here. So if I can
Mm.
rent this for $1,800 a month, right? Then I will give you an extra $400 or an extra, 400. So it'd be 292. It'd be 692. Okay. If I can get it there, I think I can only rent it out for about $1,500 or 1,400, whatever. So that would be how I would structure a deal with the agent. I would say, look, if they're willing to carry, I'll do this. I'll give them their price. I also need them. I need to have at least a 7-year balloon, at least a 7-year balloon. All right, for me to be able to
Right.
balloon. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's because that's the original way that my partner was talking about it. He was saying that we could offer full asking and a monthly payment based on a 30-year mortgage, which would equal, um, I think $700 a month with
Uh-huh.
a 10-year balloon payment, 3% to the agent, and an earnest money deposit.
Works for me. I wouldn't use a 30-year. I wouldn't call it a 30-year. Just give them that amount, whatever you want it to be. It looks like my 692 is right around where you guys were at 700 anyway.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say we're going to amortize it over 30 years and then balloon it into. The minute you start doing that, you open up the question of, well, what's the interest rate? And then it starts to get real sticky. And so what I usually tell them is, look, the interest rate is built in here. We're not basing this on an interest rate. We're just doing an interest only payment, which means, okay, this is important, which means that if I'm paying you 692 a month, okay, 692 times 12 times 10, you're making an extra $83,000 over the course of 10 years. Then at the end of those 10 years, I'm ballooning you out 200,000. So you are really making 283,000 plus whatever my down payment is. Let's say my down payment is 7,000. You're really making 290,000 by allowing us to do it this way, by being creative with me, and I'm willing to do it with you. Why? Because you're willing to work with me. And if you're willing to work with me, I'll pay the interest only over 10 years. You'll make almost an extra $100,000. And all I'm making is my measly little $300 to $400 a month profit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would do it if they're willing to do that deal. But what's the
This
down
is
payment?
uh the down payment.
Shouldn't be more than 10,000.
Okay. I think it was something like 77,705.
Yeah, 7,000 is great. It may not
Okay.
cover the agent's commission though.
No,
But
it wouldn't.
let's say they're 7,500.
But that
Uh,
was the down payment for that was so the entry fee, the way we had like walked through it, like was
mhm.
$24,000. So that's what the buyer, like we're gonna wholesale, that's including our wholesale fee, including the down payment to the seller, including
The
um
commissions.
the commission to the agent. So
Well,
the
remember
entry
commissions is like 10,000 because if it's 200,000 times 0.05, so it's 10 grand
0.05 wasn't the commission rate that we calculated. Why would it be that?
because that's what so I'm an agent too. I'm a broker.
Oh,
Most agents, we get our listings at 5%. So this
oh,
agent is probably expecting to get 5%.
really? In Florida?
Yeah,
Listing agents in New York, wow, we only get like 3%. I'm an agent in New York.
cool. Yeah,
It's
I actually passed all my courses. I just need to go there. You have to physically go there to take the exam.
Yeah, that's the only annoying thing. I took my exam in
Yeah,
Maryland too.
yeah. So we speak the same language. Yeah, I mean, it's, yes, you're right, it's 3%, but you can still act as a dual agent, right? Or is New York only I'm
You
drawing a blank
can't
now.
do, well, in New York, I don't know what it is for Florida, but in New York, you can't do dual agency. You have to,
Oh,
you
then
can,
yeah, that's the most you can earn. So in Florida, you can do dual agency, but what happens is you turn into what's called a transaction broker, where you're neutral now, and you don't represent either side. You just represent the transaction.
okay.
So in Florida, it's called a transaction broker.
Okay. I'm not sure how how we're gonna
Talk to the
pitch
agent,
this.
just see what they
Okay.
say. See what they say. See if they're like, if they expect to be compensated twice. See how they respond to that. Because
Okay.
you're right, it should be either 3% or 2.025.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, we were doing 5,000 for the agent,
it's possible, but then again, they may be expecting dual agent, dual commission.
but they don't represent us. So I mean, but
Well,
then,
that's up to your negotiating skills.
right.
I would
And
I
we
would
would
throw
have
in
to,
there that you're an agent. I'd throw that in there. I'd say, look, I'm an agent in New York. Like,
okay.
you know. But again, if the agent is helping facilitate the deal,
Yeah, I
you know,
wouldn't mind kicking an extra percentage,
yeah.
some
Well,
extra
have that
percentage into
conversation. See
them.
what they say.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then it sounds to me like I just learned two different options of like how to
Yep.
underwrite this. And it sounds to me like
Three.
the way we were underwriting it before I spoke to you is most similar to this last example that you gave.
Assuming that the owner owns a property free and clear. If the owner doesn't own the property free and clear and there is a mortgage in there, then it's like a hybrid.
Okay.
It's a little more
But
complicated, but I probably don't have time to go over it today. But and it doesn't matter because in this case, it's only seller finance anyway.
yeah, it's only seller finance.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna email the or send a text message to this agent because they don't want to know exactly what our terms is. I told them, hey, we need a little time to like just underwrite this and run some numbers. And uh what they responded with was, oh, okay, well, um, the seller's not looking for exact numbers. He's just looking for your basics.
Cool.
So the basics is basically full asking price plus monthly payments based on, well, not based on a 30-year mortgage. We're gonna,
Yeah, yeah. Don't open up that kind of worms.
okay,
Just say, here's our monthly payment. Well, interest. I'm just telling them, look, interest only, monthly payment, balloon out, 10 years. And see what they say.
okay, interest only. That's the part, interest only. Cool. All right,
All
well,
right.
if I have any more questions, I will reach out to you on Facebook.
Sweet.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
No problem.